Hello, we are Jeho Sung and Ignacio Sainz, and today we're going to talk about Ramadan. Jeho, what is Ramadan?
Ramadan is the ninth month of the Islamic calendar and is observed by the Muslims worldwide as a month of fasting, known as Swam, to commemorate the first revelation of the Quran to Muhammad according to the Islamic belief.
When does Ramadan happen?
Ramadan is taking place in the month of last 29th to the 30th day based on the visual sighting of the crescent moon. According to numerous biographical accounts compiled in Hadith, Ramadan in 2018 will start on Wednesday, the 16th of May, and will continue for 30 days until Thursday, the 14th of June.
So, Jeho, can you tell me when Ramadan first started and what is the history of Ramadan?
First, the word Ramadan comes from the Arabic root Ramada or Ar-Ramad, which means scoring heat or dryness. It is believed that the Quran was first revealed to Muhammad during the month of Ramadan, which has been referred to as the best of times. The first revelation was sent down on Laylat al-Qadar, known as the Night of Power, which is one of the 5 odd nights of the last 10 days of Ramadan. So Ramadan is celebrated to remember the holy month of Islam.
And Jeho, what is the significance of Ramadan?
Ramadan is the night of power, as known as the Laylat al-Qadar, which is said to be better than 1,000 months of worship, which can take place in any of the last 10 days of Ramadan. So Ramadan is a very important month for the Islam. Also, Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed. It is also a special month for fasting, repentance, forgiveness, increasing prayer, worship, and charity.
And Jeho, why is Ramadan so important for Muslims?
As Ramadan is a time for spiritual reflection, prayers, good and deeds, and also spending time with friends and loved ones, it is very important for the Muslim community. It is also very important because Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, explicitly mentioned in the Quran. Ramadan is also very important to Muslims by experience to Ummah, a sense of brotherhood through shared ordeals. It brings the feelings of togetherness by praying together in the mosque, and also in the sense that both the rich and poor fulfill the same demands of the fast, and are all going through the same thing together. It is also important for Muslims because it is believed to be the month during which the Holy Quran was revealed by God to Muhammad. Some Muslims seek Allah's forgiveness and protection in this month. This is the month for some Muslims to renew their commitment and re-establish their relationship with Allah. Some Muslims think the Ramadan and its demands strengthen their faith and purify his or her heart, soul, and bad deeds.
So, Jeho, what is fasting and what is so important and significant about fasting?
The fast one begins at dawn and ends at sunset. Through fasting, one demonstrates the highest degree of obedience by willfully submitting to abstaining from lawful food, drink, and sexual relations from sunrises to the sunsets 1 month every year. This regimentation is an excellent means for spiritual and moral improvement. Through fasting, the human being comes to grip with his carnal self, taming his physical appetites, subduing his greed and lust, and also traversing a path which progressively elevates his consciousness from the physical to the moral and ultimately to the spiritual dimension of his being. It is also by means of fasting that those who never have to hunger or thirst are made permanently aware of the plight of the unprivileged, which thus evokes a degree of social consciousness. The aim of attaining taqwa is in fact that degree of ethical rectitude and moral elevation that flows in the heightened level of God consciousness. It arises from the spiritual renewal inspired by selfless act of fasting for Allah. The fasting is intended to teach Muslims self-discipline, self-restraining, and self-restraining. So in the code of Quran it says, O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those who were before you, that ye may self-restrain. It's from Quran 2nd verse 218, and generosity. Who will believe? Fasting has been prescribed for you, just as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may do your duty on days that have been fixed. This indicates that it is a Muslim duty to fast just as many Muslims did before them and will do after them. So, Ignacio, what's the goal of fasting?
The goal of fasting is to draw closer to God, increase their willpower, feeling compassion for others, reflecting on their shortcoming, and to strengthen community relationship.
So, Ignacio, are there any people who get exempt from fasting?
There are a list of people who are exempt from fasting, such as elderly, sick, travelers, pregnant or breastfeeding women, and young child.
So, Ignacio, what's a typical Ramadan day for a Muslim?
Muslims will get up before sunrise and eat suhoor, which is the equivalent for breakfast because, as we know, they cannot eat during daylight. Right after dawn, they do the first prayer of the day, called Fajr. The next prayer would be Duhur, which is around lunchtime. In the afternoon, the prayer would be Asr. And then right before dawn, the evening prayer is called Maghrib, followed by a dinner that you usually have with your family, which is called Iftar. The night prayer would be Isha, and then a really special moment of the day happens when at midtime you have a prayer that only happens during Ramadan, which is called Tari, and is the most important prayer in all the day of a Muslim in Ramadan. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. Spare change. Spare change. Thank you, kind sir. Thank you. Throughout our research, we have learned a lot of things about Ramadan and the Islam community. It was very interesting that the Islam community used a whole month to show their devotion to their God, who is Allah. There are hard practices like fasting, and praying multiple times every day, but it is their culture and tradition.